Welcome. My name is Juan Felipe Cardona. I'm going to share our journey with continuous improvement at TODO1. First of all, I want to thank Electric Cloud for inviting me to do this presentation. And also, I want to thank my team back at TODO1 and John, our engineer, continuous automation engineer that is here in the audience as well. Thank you for being here. TODO1 is a company in which we are focused in humanizing the relationships between people and their financial institutions. We are not a fintech since we don't build tools to sell the banks, but we create solutions as a service. That's our business. We offer solutions as a service to offer banks for them to complete their digital channel strategy. And we are focused on banks in Latin America. We have more than 18 years of experience in the market. We work with world-class tools, platforms, and the best-of-breed platforms that we can offer our clients. We are focused on the adoption of our solutions to our clients. We promise our clients the best user experience possible. We recently acquired a company that is expert in user experience and do all the development in that area and all the user journey for us to apply in our solutions. We are experts in integration. We integrate with different backends, the cores of our clients, and we also integrate different business applications to provide the best solutions for our clients. Our business model is risk-based. That means that we provide our users with our solutions, and we work very closely with them so that their success becomes also our success. We don't just deliver the platforms or the tools for them to operate. We become business partners to our bank clients. We are located in Miami, in Colombia, in South America. We have offices in Central America, in Mexico, and we have clients in Colombia, Central America, the Caribbean, and we are now opening new markets in Peru and Argentina. The type of applications that I'm going to speak about in this presentation are basically online and mobile banking, both for the retail and the business segments. We also deliver PFM, that's personal business management solutions, and BFM, finance business management solutions. The architecture of our applications, and this is to give you more context of what we were trying to automate in our automation journey, is basically Java-based. Almost 95% of our applications are Java-based. And we have a UI layer for the mobile and web applications, in which we have our web installers. We deploy their base standard Java web artifacts. We also deploy in that layer or generate the installer for the mobile applications, both for Android and for iOS. We also deploy configuration files in that layer. In the next layer, the backend layer, in which we have our APIs and our business logic. We basically deploy standard .ear files. Those are Java installers, and configuration files. In the database layer, we work with DDL, data definition scripts, and data modeling scripts. And in our integration layer, in which we have basically an SOA appliance, we deploy scripts for changing. In our deployments, we basically put configuration files. The business goal that was given to us in IT was to target 100 million users in between 3 to 5 years. We're currently serving 15 million users amongst all of our clients in South, Central America, and the Caribbean. So we still have a long way to go, but we are working on it. Two additional business requirements that were given to us was basically increase our release cadence by 4 times. In general, in Latin America, usually payrolls are paid on the 15th and by the end of the month. So those dates are frozen for us. We cannot deploy into production in those days. And we cannot also deploy the days, so a couple of days before and a couple of days after those payroll payment dates. So that gives us only a couple of weeks to do our deployments in our production environment. Additionally, the business was asking for us to have better service quality. It's, of course, with our previous manual process, we were prone to human error, and the service availability and the credibility of our clients was being affected. So that's of course another business requirement that was asked for us. So to achieve those business requirements, we needed to get deployment automation in place. That's the only solution that we had. And additionally, we had to adjust our processes. We had been doing continuous integration for more than 10 years. And when we started, we were doing manual builds. We did that. We went forward to do continuous integration, and our teams have been doing that for all that time. Now that we started our DevOps journey almost 1 year ago, our teams had to learn to do things again in a different way, and that's one of the challenges that we had as well. Our initial plan to have automation, to have the deployment automation, we decided to go with several applications, and we decided as well to focus on one of the layers of our architecture. We decided to go with the backend layer because that's the one in which most of the bugs were found. That's the most difficult one to change in terms of solving the bugs, because those are the logic, those are the API and logic layers. And our initial plan then was to allow the developers to deploy into their integration environment and to allow the QA team to deploy into their QA environment without the intervention of our operations team. On a second phase, we decided to go into the production environment to pull this first plan of deploying that only layer in the production environment. So now we start to see that with that initial plan, which initially looked well for us, there start to see some smells, some things were not good, but we started like very shy because this was our first time doing DevOps, so we didn't want to mess with the production environment from the beginning. So this was our situation before doing automation. It was basically the development team doing all manual deployments in all of our layers and components. And the operations team was in charge of both the QA and the production environment, also manually. With that that initial plan that we decided to go with, we were going to allow, or we allowed the development team to automatically deploy into the backend layer. We let the QA team deploy into the backend layer. That one, this part was deployed by the QA team, but the rest of the layers and the production environment was being deployed by the operations team still. So now, with that first approach, we had very good results, but we also realized about some challenges, and we were not delivering what the business was asking from us. So in this part, we went for achieving this first part, we needed company-wide commitment. That means that we had to break the silos. We had all our teams working together with our DevOps team to put that plan up. That was the first time that we had the developers talking with the operations team and with the QA team, and we were working all together to achieve the same goal. Additionally, the management sponsorship was very important. These kinds of initiatives, because they are across the whole company, cannot be achieved by only one team pulling and doing all the effort there. So management sponsorship was very important for this initiative as well. We had, of course, and we have seen some of the other conferences about compliance. We had still to be compliant with this, with our compliant auditing and security teams. So we relied on our automation tool, Electric Flow, to provide us with the information that we needed in terms of user auditing. The reporting capabilities of the tool gave us the chance to know who did what and when. That's the user auditing. To know what we changed between releases. The execution tracking also means that we are able to know exactly, or the auditors, during the audits, they are able to know what we changed, what artifacts we changed, what components were changed, and go exactly to the level that they need to check for any change in our environments. Additionally, we had to work with the infrastructure team to do some changes in our network segments. From the beginning, we have always have a separation between the development or integration network segment, the QA network segment, and the production network segment. Now, we needed to somehow send signals from the integration environment to the QA environment for the pipeline to continue their deployments. But we needed to be compliant with the condition that those segments were completely separated. So we worked with our infrastructure team and added an additional segment that is transverse to all other environments. And from that new network segment, we were able to connect and put all the security requirements that security and the compliance team were asking from us to be able to push or to handle the deployments in each of the separate environments. We used a feature of the tool, of the automation tool called the entry gate rules that allows us to put stops in the pipeline. So when a developer starts a deployment, the tool stops, and only a person, an authorized person from the next environment is able to do the review and the approval for deploying in the next environment. With that first phase, we got very good results. We were initially in our integration environment, we were deploying in 45 minutes, and we went from 45 to 12 minutes in 2 of our applications. And with the new automation, we were able to have savings of 40 to 73% in time. And with the number of deployments that we have per month, that goes almost to 150 hours of savings that now the developers were not spending doing deployments. Those hours, that's basically almost one developer working full-time during a month. So he should probably be doing and creating more functionalities and adding more value to the business. In our QA environment, we had even better results. We went from 120 minutes, 2 hours, to 20 minutes per deployment. That's an 83% savings of time that now the operations team is not spending doing manual processes. With the number of deployments that we were doing per month, or that we are doing per month, that's more than 400 hours that we are saving the operations team. That's basically.
Can you elaborate on that? Is that manual testing? Is that automated testing?
Say again, please.
Is that automated testing or manual testing?
No, this is manual testing. This is only, I'm talking here only about the deployment. This is not testing. This is. Yes, this is deployment in the QA environments, not the testing, okay? And those 2 hours represent also the queues that we were adding to the process to the operations team. So now that we took 100 minutes per deployment to the operations team, that's basically 3 operations team that should be spending their time doing either more deployments or improving their monitoring in their environments.
Can you go back?
Sure.
So you're telling us the what, but how did you achieve this?
Okay. For this, we had to work with processes. Let me go back to this one. So we optimize our deployment process. We automated it, and we are only talking here about one of the layers of the architecture. So first part, automating. Second part, we made our processes leaner. We created less documentation. We relied on the capabilities of the tool to give the information that our manual processes were generating in our previous manual process. We were generating a lot of documentation, manual documentation that we have to deliver to the next team to operate. So we got rid of some of that documentation, and we started generating some of that documentation as evidence because the auditors were still requiring that information. And some of the reporting that we generated manually, for example, evidence of the deployments, evidence of the restarting of a server, for example, it's now being given automatically by the tool in the reporting capabilities. So basically 2 points there, automation of the deployment and linear processes. So with these good results, we also generated a bottleneck in the QA environment because now the developers were deploying faster in their environment and were delivering faster to QA. But the operations team, even with the savings that I showed, that should be almost 3 people doing other things, they were not able to keep up with the new speed that the developers were having in their developments, in their deployments, and the speed that the QA team were having in that backend layer. The QA team was still depending on the operations team for the deployment of the other layers. So we went from automating a single layer in multiple applications to automate all layers in a single application. That's the change of strategy that we had to do, and that's the change of plan. That's what we changed from our original plan. I'll go back again. We went from automating a single layer in multiple applications to automating all layers in a single application. The application that we chose was it was decided with the operations and the business team, and was one of the applications that the business was requiring us to deliver faster and to increase the cadence of the deployments in production. The goal then was to have all the environments for that only application, all the layers, and to give the teams the ability to deploy with only one click. So the developers were deploying in all their layers with only one click of the tool. The QA team is now deploying in all their layers with only one click. And in this first phase, we were still not, we finished that part, and we are working and we are going towards pushing that into production environment. And in about 2 to 3 weeks, we are planning to do our first fully automated deployment in production. That's something that we are working right now with our coworkers back in TODO1. The second challenge that we found and that we had to deal with was the resistance of the teams with that change. Adjusting to this new process, to these new tools, needed us for giving them coaching, generating documentation for the new members of the development teams and QA teams that were coming. We created demos, we created supporting, and the support was increased because a lot of teams were wanting to start doing automation. Once they saw the other teams deploying automatically, they started to come to us and asking for us to include them. But we already had our plan, so the business is the one that was giving our priorities at that moment. The good thing is that Once the team started, they really loved it. It's the same phenomenon that happened 10 years ago when we started doing continuous integration. Two important lessons that we learned in our process. Since we are not in the business of creating DevOps and automation platforms, we learned that we need a unified platform that we could build on and provided us with enterprise-grade features like multi-tenancy, high availability, and that we could work with. The other important lesson is that we underestimated the number of nodes that we needed to automate at the beginning. We started only in our first plant, we only looked at a couple of applications and only one layer, and when we changed to our strategy to focus on one application and all the layers, the number of nodes that we needed to automate was increased, so that was something that we had to deal in terms of budgeting as well. So our advice, or my advice for everyone is that plan and budget for the best from the beginning. Our next steps in our process, in TODO1, in our continuous improvement, is going to keep working towards the goal of serving 100 million users in 3 to 5 years. We want to implement deployment automation into all of our applications. We want to increase the integration with functional testing suites that we are currently working on. We also want to go forward with building and the delivery of the mobile applications in terms of delivering them to the testing markets or even delivering them to our final clients for them to deploy into their production environments in the markets by themselves. And finally, in our next steps, we want to go forward with our database automation and the DML scripts, so we can have both automation of the data manipulation and also data definition. That's our other goal. So thank you very much. That's all I have to share with you. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to.
Can you talk a little bit more about the automation?
Sure. So we in our current state, we are deploying only script for data manipulation. We learned that we still have a long journey to go there because we have like mega scripts. And one of the things that we realized and that we learned reading the documentation and reading other experiences is that we have to have smaller pieces for our scripts. So that way you can put those scripts in the automation pipeline and have them deployed and have them installed in the database without any problem. If you have smaller pieces, it's going to be easier even for doing rollbacks if you have to. Okay, did I answer?
How do you validate DDL to be sure you're not going to destroy environment before executing that DDL statement automatically?
How do we validate? How do we validate that information? The information that we are deploying there are basically configuration. It's not transactions transaction information. It's not information about the transaction of our solutions. They are basically configuration files or configurations that work for our applications that are stored in the database. So that's the part that we are automating.
Do you have cases when you need to handle rollback because of one of the layers failed?
Oh, sorry, we got the timeout. We can speak here. Thank you very much.